Oh, baby, it is shaping up to be a very exciting start to this coming week. Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. Wish you a happy and healthy start to your Sunday morning over here from, once again, a little bit of a later morning in Helsinki, Finland. I've been spending my mornings updating my computer, which fucking sucks and takes way too long. It took me like 30 minutes. What the hell was that? Anyways, with that said, I would like to wish you the best and the happiest. Also, major special thank you to Elio Trades out there for giving me a shout out last night. That was really awesome, man. Thank you. Also, definitely go check out Elio Trades if you are not aware of him. He is the altcoin master if you are into that sort of thing. And while I typically am not the biggest fan of altcoins on the whole, he has a little penchant for finding those small gems that seem to magically go 10x. How does he do it? I don't fucking know, but that's not my game. But he's a guy who has actually proven himself in that regard. So fair enough. And I salute you, Mr. Elliott. And with that said, let's get to the actual content of today, of which do I have any announcements? Yeah, quickly, we'll talk about Discord. If you want to join Discord, it's 100% free. It's 100% open and available to anyone out there. And the link is in the description below. Make sure that you go through the alt-identifier security bot. That's probably makes no sense, but basically what happens is once you join the server, you're going to get a PM or a DM, whatever the fuck, direct message straight to your inbox at the top left of your screen, and that is going to prompt you with a small identification, which is rather easy to go through. It's, I don't know, going to take you like a minute or two. Just link one of your socials to it. Prove that you're not a bot and not going to like spam people and do all sorts of weird shit, and then you can join the community. Of course, Discord is obviously a privilege, not a right. We're more than happy to have you, but if there's any sort of weird shit going on, like, you know, fighting for no reason, causing Discord dramas, well, then we are adults, and we expect that, you know, well, other people appreciate to have conversations with adults as well. So it is well, one warning and then a ban, sir. Anyways, with that said, I do want to put the focus now on the Krown Chain application. Oh, I'll also be on Twitch later today as well. And what do we see over here? We see a lot of things, actually. We do see that Bitcoin dominance shattering down from yesterday to today, as Bitcoin actually is more or less ranging on the short-term time frames. So we do still see that rotational marks going on. Today's a very critical day, though, because we do have the weekly closure coming up a little bit later today, and that potentially could change my bias on the Bitcoin dominance. However, it's, well, spoiled surprise, probably not going to happen, but it could happen, and you always have to have a point of failure for these sorts of ideas, because technical analysis and trading is always a game of statistics and probabilities. There's no way to have a crystal ball, at least not that I'm aware of. And what else do we see? We do see that open interest actually hitting up another 200 million, actually almost a quarter billion right there, from 6 billion of what we saw yesterday to about 6.2 and almost a half billion of what we see today, as Bitcoin does more or less just continue to the upside. So what does that suggest? Just that positions are being added as Bitcoin more or less holds a range, holds a trend, and, well, we'll match that up with actual technical analysis a little bit later, and so far so good. Also looking at the fear and greed index, Bitcoin popping up 1 point from a 93 to 94, not bad, but still, you know, in the extremely greedy zone. And you would imagine that kind of makes sense when, you know, you've been mostly vertical for the last 4 or 5 months. Quite nice. Into the data tab we go. Let me just make sure that I'm recording myself and my microphone's working. That's really good. All right, get that one out of the way nice and early. Okay, a little bit of a whoa, hey, whoa, Jesus Christ, man, what the fuck's going on over here? Funny rate is rather high. Let's see what's causing this. So FTX posting a 0.19% region, Deribit posting 0.14, and Binance posting 0.15. All the exchanges are right below the threshold of 0.1%. And if you're unfamiliar with why I'm even putting any emphasis on this, because typically when I do see the average or at least 3+ exchanges get above the 0.1% funny rate or negative 0.1%, then we typically do see reversals in the opposite direction. So in this case, it would be, you know, to the downside. Obviously, in a negative case, it'd be to the upside. But I really want to see that that read be perpetuated for at least a couple days on end. The reason why I say that, and I've been getting a lot of questions about this, so I should explain. The reason why I say that is because a lot of times you'll see a quick spike due to, you know, just a very one-off move, usually over the weekends, and then, you know, it kind of comes back down into normality, and you don't really get much out of that. So I really want to see it, you know, sustained for 2, maybe even 3 days, and that's when I really do start to be saying to myself, okay, time to be looking for a little bit of a pullback here, maybe even a long-term reversal. So with that in mind, not necessarily there just yet, but it is a point of contention, and now we need to line it up with price action charts themselves. Obviously, you know, price action at the end of the day, it comes first, and into the secondary charts we go. So with that in mind, once again, we have closed a 3-day dodo above the top side shoulder band, which was the most important thing to be aware of yesterday night on closure. Obviously, tonight is going to be the 2-day and the 3-day close closing at the same time, plus a daily as well. And I still look at this as trend in progress, closing above the topside shoulder band at a closing price of, yeah, just above 40,000 bucks. Looks pretty damn good to me. Yes, I do think that it likely does come back down and test around the topside shoulder band, which is the low $39,000 region, but that likely is another opportunity for another, at the very least, short-term bouncy bounce and likely continuation on the whole. What I want to put the emphasis on right now, as it is a Sunday, and we actually do have a lot to talk about in the short-term time frames, so perhaps I'll hold off on long-term analysis for a more directed video. Also, hopefully Cointelegraph puts up my interview questions with that, because that, well, fair enough. They can do whatever the fuck they want, I guess. But more importantly, looking at this right here, we do see that volume is once again increasing as Bitcoin does essentially just ascend to the heavens here. And why is that important? Well, that is important because it does suggest that participation is still with this rally, which is good, which is what is needed to sustain it. And obviously that combined with the fact that open interest, as we identify over here, has also added another 250 million almost in contract position, plus volume going up, plus trend in or to the upside. This is all very, very good for further continuation. And just based off of that, I could blindly look at this chart, looking at the Challenger bands, looking at the open interest, looking at the volume, and looking at the trend, and just say, hey, yeah, this is very likely to head onwards and upwards. I know this sounds crazy. Look, and if you're new here, because I know that there's a lot of newer people here, I really don't want to come off as a moon boy. I'm a trader first and foremost, even though for the last 3-4 months I've been a hodler actually, as I really haven't been doing too much trading. I did a little bit of trading over here, decent amount of trading over here, a little bit right here, and then ever since then just hodling, as I'd rather just spend my time if I'm going to be trading in like ranging markets and forex. It's just better opportunity, or at least from my edge. But in this market right here, just better to hold, at least in my opinion. Anyways, my point is that can look at that, and yes, very, very likely to go onwards and upwards. However, I want to be as grounded as possible. I know that this rally looks absolutely crazy. I know that things are, drastically extended here, but, when we do match it up with the history of Bitcoin, it really isn't as extended as you might first consider to the naked eye. Now, again, this right here is the key. I want to quickly check out my momentum oscillators here as well, and we'll quickly go through this here too. Oh, by the way, I should say 3-day MACD histogram once again fucking increasing. I wouldn't even look for like a medium-term pullback until we get our first drop off on the 3-day MACD histogram here, of which you do see it calling, nice pullbacks over the course of this rally, especially, and then also within the last few years that we have data right here too. But anytime that it does kind of loosen its grip, when you see it kind of turn white on mine, whatever off color it is on yours, that typically is, your sideways and downs. And in this case, yes, it does get reaccumulated, but this is also a range of about $3,000. So is it relevant? I would say so. $3,000 is quite a fair bit. Although at $40,000, what's a $3,000 move? Not even a 10% move. So that's where we're living at right now. It's kind of crazy to think about, not just so long ago in 2019, where I know a lot of people joined this channel especially that I speak with more frequently down here. A $300 move was a 10% move. That was fucking crazy. Something to think about. Anyways, so yes, you know what? Let's actually quickly go over this, because I do think that this is relevant, and perhaps you might find some value in this, especially for the newer people here. And what I would say is that Bitcoin on the whole, historically speaking, this rally is, well, the question is this rally out of the ordinary thus far? And what I would postulate is, okay, well, let's just go look at past prior times where Bitcoin has broken to new all-time highs on a weekly closing basis, and what's essentially happened after that. So let's go all the way back to BLX Index, which is our longest running history exchange, and or it's not even exchange, but longest running chart, and it goes all the way back to 2010. Where Bitcoin was literally trading 9 cents. It IPOs over here, if you want to call it that, closed on new highs, which we can just plot out with horizontals. I'll represent it right here. And then after it closed on new all-time highs, what happens after that? A melt-up phase from closure to next high of 475%. Remember that number. Now, as Bitcoin does the same thing, reverses for about a month or two here, it looks like, and then boom, close on new all-time highs, and another melt-up for 200% in some odd change or whatever. And then what do we have? Another few month-long reversal, plus a closure on new all-time highs, and then melt up of what? Almost 3,000%, which is maybe a little bit more on the outlier side, we might say. And then it reverses for, this looks like about 6 months right here, perhaps. Close on new all-time highs, and then boom, melt up for 1,300% to the upside, reverses for a few months over here, and what do you know, close on new all-time highs once again, and melts up for another 633% to the upside, and then the big one going for about a year-long contraction phase in consolidation before closing on new all-time highs, and then go fuck yourself with another 2,000% move to the upside. And then we have the most recent one, actually, where Bitcoin closed above $20,000 high, or 19,000 if you're looking at closures right here. And thus far,
guess how much percentage gain Bitcoin has had since that level? Well, I mean, just doing some mental math, you should know that's, you know, around like 100, back actually about 120 right now. However, is that within the context of what we see in past historical melt-up phases? Well, actually no, because it would be on the lower side. It would be a bit of an outlier. On the lowest side, if you recall, it was about a 200% move to the upside. On the most egregious moves to the upside, is about a 3,000% move to the upside. So, you know, if we were to take an average of that, you know, what's going to work out to be somewhere in like the, you know, thousands, I'd imagine, percent. And again, I'm not saying that this is, you know, guaranteed, of course, but I just want to show that at these price points, you know, just a few percentage points makes quite a big difference. In fact, if we were to, you know, again, we're at about 120% right now. If we were to just even take on the smallest amount of which Bitcoin saw, that would put Bitcoin at around $60,000. So do I think that it's relevant that Bitcoin's going to likely test $60,000? Yes, I do. In fact, if I had to call it right now, I think that Bitcoin will very, 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 very likely see $60,000 probably within the next year of price action. Can I give like a better time frame on that? No, because I don't believe that, you know, time frame analysis really works. But just going off of the past prior history of Bitcoin, we typically do see those moves put in within the next year or two. Now on the upper end, obviously we saw about 3,000%. I think that that's not for me to put on a chart like this, because again, I want to, you know, sustain my relevancy to reality. And but let's just play with like another number, like 1,000%, right? Which was still on the lower end, to be fair, where that put Bitcoin over 200,000 bucks. So you can do the mental math to figure out what 2,000% would look like, 400,000. About what would 3,000% look like, about 600,000. So with that in mind, you know, is Bitcoin's rally out of the ordinary right now? Well, yes, it hasn't gone up as much as the past prior ones. Now, of course, past results are not indicative of future results or whatever the fuck the saying is, but you know, history does typically rhyme with the past, or rhyme with the past typically rhymes with the future, is one of those old sayings in the trading world. And well, we do have a very well documented history here going back for the last 11, 12 years now. So I do quite like that, and I do put significance on that, and I am essentially just bullish on Bitcoin in generally speaking, especially as long as the 3-day is closing above the topside Toronto band, of which we just had a fresh one close last night, and then obviously the weekly closing tonight is going to be the next biggest one, closing the soonest, and that is coming, and the topside Toronto band here is coming in all the way down at 33,200. So while I do think that there, you know, there's probably gonna be a short-term pullback down to the 3-day topside Toronto band, somewhere around low 39,000 bucks, that very likely is another opportunity. Once again, I know that sounds crazy, but there's nothing bearish about this weekly dildo right here. And again, the weekly, similar to the 3-day, is on increasing volume. And of course, because this is a weekly, I mean, it's including more price action. So this is even more powerful. And we're in the process of expanding from this region. All of that looks good. Looking at weekly MACD, nice and powerful, still increasing, looking good. Same sort of analysis here. So all good. And weekly DMI, we don't see any divergences possible. So at the very least, even if Bitcoin was to put in a top here, it would still imply that Bitcoin at the very least, or very, very likely, gets another top, as I wouldn't be looking for any long-term or especially macro high until Bitcoin gets bearish divergence on at the very least a 3 drive on a daily. So that's going to, you know, be some time, and that would also obviously imply new all-time highs above where we're at right now. Now, of course, the 2 days going to be closing as well tonight, and 2 days looking more or less fine. You know, anything above about 40,000, anything above about 40,000 bucks will look good for further continuation. So where would the continuation targets be? Well, if we put on our lovely drawing tools over here, let's get rid of this one because it's no longer relevant, although it did do its job for quite some time. Now we move on to the next bigger ones, of which my Fibonacci extensions here would suggest 43,000 is the point of interest. We've kind of already tested this region. I would be leaning more on the side of, if Bitcoin does test this region again, it probably doesn't produce another pullback, because it's basically been tested. I mean, when you look at it on a higher term time frame like this, you know, yes, it's technically like 42,900. The last high that we put in was about 42,200, I think it was. So, or 100 or whatever the fuck it was. So, on the higher term time frame scales, you could pretty much just say that that's already been tested. I'd really be looking for a move towards the 618. That is a big one. This is a big target right here, and it's right at about 46,000. Yeah, a little bit above 46,000, as you can see. That's a big one, because that is typically that is going to be a profit taking area. Yes, extremely likely. Now, sometimes, and I wouldn't say sometimes, but this is your traditional like trappy area too. A lot of the time you will see like failed what's the word that I'm looking for? Swing failure pattern rallies go above an area like that and then be quickly slammed down after it. Now, with the current market dynamics, do I think that that's going to happen? Probably not. But I do think that it's important to kind of get on a video like this because I know that a lot of newer people are here, and perhaps you might find that information valuable. At the same time, while it very likely does produce a short, maybe even medium-term pullback, I would be looking for that to likely get picked up either around the 414 at 43 or even the 272 and base off at 40,000 again, which is completely fine. Would still be quite the move there. Realistically, the next real targets are going to be in the below $50,000 region. So as we looked at earlier, it was very interesting to see that Bitcoin matching up with its prior historical rallies would, on the lower end suggest around a $60,000 target. Guess where the 3.618 is? 62,742 actually right now. And that is a major point of reference. And if I had to call it right now, anywhere between about 59 and 62 is where I'd be looking for on the next major pullback from like a weekly schedule here, as this one is still in melt up phase right now. Again, I know it looks fucking ridiculous. I know that, like, believe me. Believe me, this chart looks as ridiculous to me as it does to you, very, very likely. But going off of past history and going off of my past history as well and past experience, I still like this. I still like this. I know it sounds fucking crazy. Anyways, let's go over here to our regular charts. We'll hammer down on the short-term timeframes. So yesterday, what did we say on the short-term timeframes? We said very, very likely a move back down to 38,500-ish region right here. We pretty much got that move very close. Actually, I'd lower this just a bit. Got down to about 38.7, looks like. I was saying 38.5, anywhere around there was fine. Looking for a bounce after that. And then if and only if that area breaks, I would have been looking for the lower end at about, this is not relevant for what we're talking about right now, but it would have been 37,000, which was 36,500 right here between there and about 37 if that area to break. But obviously that, produced a nice little bouncy bounce, and Bitcoin essentially just maintaining the trend as the weekend trudges along. So is this in any way, shape, or form bearish right here? No. We had a really good time on Twitch yesterday because we were going through like Twitter analyses, which is really fucking funny. And like there is, I totally understand why people hate technical analysis and think it's mostly mumbo jumbo garbage like TA hocus pocus, because people are drawing like fucking rising wedges, like somehow fitting them in this whole area right here and then saying that this is a descending triangle. First off, not a fucking rising wedge. Second off, not a descending triangle. Third off, geometry, sir. Geometry. Like, listen, I'm not a big pattern trader, but if you are going to trade patterns, you should know the basics of them. And in this case right here, this is simply continuation as it is. Any sort of a move above yesterday's high, which was 41,527.5, and I would be looking for an extension towards that very likely $30,000 target. This is a very short form reaccumulation phase right here, as you can see, just in the context of this general uptrend. There's not a name for this one. It's just continuation is what it is. What I would be looking at right now is my momentum oscillators. Can't get my fucking lispy shit out right now, but looking at the 4-hour Stokes, they are looking across the upside with any sort of a closure about $40,608 on the next closure, which is coming in 2 hours and 8 minutes and 53 seconds. So by the time that I post this video, you likely will already have clarity on that situation. If that condition is met, I would very likely look for, at the very least, a test around yesterday's high. And if the prior condition that we just spoke about, taking out yesterday's high in general, then I would be looking for that next, slight melt up phase to about 43,000. Is there any sort of a measure move to be made off this? Not really. We're just kind of eyeballing it and looking at the general sphere of it. Yeah, somewhere around, a little bit above $40,000, or sorry, $43,000, $43,000. Wow, that's a crazy thing to say, but yeah, looking at 4-hour RSI, we had a little bit of hidden bullish divergence right here. I still believe that that's playing out as it tests the bottom side of the bullish control zone. Good. Historical volatility percentile is falling off on this move as well. So again, we are seeing this move continue to trudge up and up and up on contracting volatility, which is actually a good sign in traditional markets from my experience. You usually see your highs in your upwards markets being put in on contracted volatility as the market just kind of accepts and just enjoys the upside ride. And usually when it gets very, 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 very low, that is your red warning signal saying, hey, beware of reversals, because this volatility, once it's fully contracted, it can only expand by definition. Anyways, moving on to the 3-hour, what do we have right here? 3-hour Stokes flip-flopping around a little bit, but will remain to the upside with any sort of a closure above 41,300. And we still have that, or sorry, the 4-hour trend line. Did we talk about this? Yeah, it's right here. It's more of a regression coming in right around the edge of the bullish control zone. So if it did want to turn back down and hit this area, I'd actually look at that as an opportunity. I think the trend line's a little bit more obvious on the 3-hour right here. Yes, indeed it is. Same sort of idea, regressions. And if this one does want to come down, guess where it'd be hitting around? The edge of the bullish control zone once again. More importantly, you can see that all of the tests on this trend line have come with major lows within these melt-up phases, starting with December 9th, then December 8th, and December 22nd, 24, 28, and, you know, correlated with that on price action, Jesus Christ, that would be coming in all the way from back on over here, getting this low in this area, getting this low in this area, getting this low in this area, getting this low more recently this area, and then once again, it would be hitting this area over here, presumably so. So with all of that in mind, you know, again, I'm just looking at this as generally up. Looking at the buy-hourly, what do we see? Buy-hourly Stokes, nice and erect as long as you're above 40,550, and that's going to be closing in 6 minutes and 30 seconds, so we'll actually be able to see that one together, very likely. 2-hour RSI is giving you a little bit of hidden bullish divergence. I'm sure someone's going to call out a Joule sell signal on the buy-hourly. No, 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 no. Over the weekend, I do not play these at all, ever. If it's not present on CMEs, it ain't fucking worth it. And typically what happens is, like, Saturday, Sunday, I don't even fucking look at the Joule. On Monday, I'll reference it, but on Tuesday, it becomes playable in line with CMEs typically. And CME actually is printing a signal right here. So are we looking at a pullback, maybe like late Monday, early Tuesday? Perhaps yes, but first, continuations probably. Anyways, Bitcoin. All right, going back on over here, and let's go through the hourly, of which, what do we have? We do see hourly Stokes popping back up here as well, as long as we're above 40,650, and that's going to be closing in 5 minutes and 43 seconds. We do see hourly RSI, again, constructive sideways, divergences playing off each other, nice one. And I'd be looking for this one to fill out the neutral zone a little bit more. Overall, it is constructive, and I would be looking at historical volatility percentile on the hourly specifically to judge the next sort of expansion phases. It's been really fucking good recently. Really, 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 really good. Also with hourly Stokes, like just a weird thing, you know, every once in a while you find these cheat codes. Well, you know, I don't really need a reason why they work. It's just they do work, and then it works until it don't, basically. Anyways, moving on to the medium-term timeframes, like the 12-hour. What do we see right here? 12-hour Stokes coming down a bit, but I would be looking for them to likely bounce off the critical zone. So if they do come down, completely fine. This is what you typically see in traditional markets, where when they get stuck between the critical zone and the upper end of the bullish control zone, that's usually a very strong read. I do like that, and so, you know, if it did want to come down, that's completely fine. But I'd be looking for it to base off of the 10 simple right here. So let's actually talk a little bit more about the downside range, because I haven't really spoken about anything bearish just yet. Here's what I would be looking for. It's the same areas of yesterday, actually, and a little bit more solidified now too, now that we have actual tests from yesterday as well. I'm actually going to get rid of this one right here because I don't believe it's even that relevant. But here's what I'd be looking at. Bitcoin down to about 39,000 low. That is a nice pivot point for a short-term time frame on a 4-hour. If that area is broken on a 4-hour total closure, even a 2-hour probably does this as well. Let me just go check. 2-hour, I'd look for 39,300. So either 39,300 on a 2-hour or 4-hour 39,500. We'll call it any sort of a closure below there on those two timeframes. And then yes, I would look for a greater pullback down to about 37,000 region, right around here. At which point I would be looking for a bounce, and if the trend is going to continue, I'd be looking for that to be your next higher low. If this area starts to break right here at $37,000, especially on a 4-hour closure, then Bitcoin actually is going to have some medium-term problems, and I would be looking for a greater pullback. Well, at the very least, another $3,000 or so down to 34,500. It's same kind of implications in this area right here, and would be driving a move down, not just these areas, although they probably do play for short-term bounces. I'm just going to get rid of them right now because it's probably just more confusing than anything than helpful. I'd be looking for a pullback all the way down to low $30,000. Do I think that that's what's happening? No, but I think that it's very important to give counterpoints to the main ideas that I'm postulating, because it needs to be that way. Again, it's all about statistics, and there needs to be a plan for if and when you are wrong, because it will happen over a long enough period of time. Anyways, looking at 12-hour, what do we have? 12-hour just looks kind of flaky here. 12-hour RSI, am I getting anything from this? Not really. No. What about daily? Anything particular on the daily to be aware of? 40,150 for keeping momentum to the upside. Again, really fucking critical read over here, but not problematic till it really comes back down below the critical zone. Daily RSI. Here's what I really want to speak about for a second. So daily RSI, I would not be looking for any sort of a long-term or especially macro high until Bitcoin puts in some bearish divergence on daily RSI. At least 2 drives, preferably 3 for like a long-term reversal, if that. And as you can see, we've been making new highs throughout this whole run. That is a really strong read. That is really, really good. That's exactly what you want to see. That's picture fucking perfect. Most importantly with that that would imply, first off, Bitcoin hasn't even confirmed a local high as it is right now, and will very unlikely right here, to be fair. But more importantly with that, first off, Bitcoin would have to create a local high, which it has not done. That would be your first drive. Then it would have to create another successful high on top of that. That would be your second drive. And then you would want another third one on top of that. And that usually is going to be your long-term reversal in a market like this. But all of that would imply higher highs. So it's 3 successive highs after this current one that we're working on right now. The problem is with this chart on the daily is that because this uptrend is so fucking strong, well, where's your last higher low would be the question. This is not this is not really a higher low right here. Your last higher low is going to be, should I say it? $18,000. So this market can whip around fucking significantly, but it does remain bullish as long as it's above. This is very unhelpful. This is very fucking unhelpful, but it does remain bullish as long as it's above about $20,000. You could go for a 50% pullback and still maintain that. That's something to think about. Now, do I think that it's going to be doing that right here, right now? No. Again, I do think that it continues onwards and upwards. But seeing as we don't even have bearish divergence available as it stands right now, well, got to call a spade a spade. I'm still bullish, I suppose, on the whole. Short-term pullbacks down to $39,000 is not problematic in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion. Anyways, buy daily. What do we see right here? Continuation. It's fucking continuation, huh? I think Trollender bands are better for this one. Let's go check out Caretaker's work over here as well and see what we got going on. Hourly range is actually contracting significantly, as you can see, and showing a very tight range between about 39.5 to the downside and about 41.5 to the upside. And that's essentially does further confirm what we were looking at back on over here in the short-term time frames. Continuation above about 41.5, yesterday's high, to the downside. 39.5 is a little bit of a short-term pivot, although I'm actually not getting too much from that. 39, low $39,000, essentially what I'd be looking for on a pullback if Bitcoin does want to pull back. So take care of that. Let's see what the 4 hours looking like right here. Should speak to the greater narrative of this. And yes, it would be showing that $43,000 target to the upside if Bitcoin does want to take another leg up out of yesterday's high. Looking at the daily, what do we have right here? That would be more a long-term target, actually starting to match up with the 46,000 extension to the upside. But again, that's a little bit too far away from us right now, so I don't think it's as relevant. Okay, cool. So we don't have any traditional marks to follow up on. Oh yes, Bitcoin dominance we really want to be following up on today. Show me your Bitcoin D, sir. Okay, that's not the chart that I want to be looking at right now. I need something like this. Here we go. Show me it, please. Whoa, okay, so this is very interesting. Today is the weekly closure, obviously, and if the weekly does close actually here or lower, below 69% on this chart, would I be looking for a medium-term reversal? Yes, I'd be looking for this to come down to about 66.5%, and that would imply that most alts are going to be having a bit of a party in the short term. However, anywhere above 70%, I'm really fucking bullish, and I maintain my bullishness. And to be quite honest, even if it does have a short-term or medium-term reversal here, here's your monthly. You're fucked. So, sorry, you're not fucked. Not all of them are fucked, but most of them are fucked. Let's go check out. Let's just go check out a few pairs here just to see. Theta has been one of the bigger winners. This one's coming down quite aggressively. This does not look. Well, yeah, probably comes down a little bit more. Probably be looking for like 4,300 satoshis, but this one is good long term actually. One of the better altcoin charts. Compare that with some like Uni. Not good. Very not good actually. I'd be looking for this one to push back. This looks awful. Let's see. What's another good one to pick on? My card dealers. Where my card dealers at? Where's my ripples at actually? Where these rapples at? Ripple Rapple, does it want to have a nice leg up towards a 21 here, somewhere around like 1,000 satoshis? Perhaps yes, but wow, wrecked AF is the technical name for that chart. What about Litecoin? Not strong at all. Yeah, I suspect we're gonna see this puked out again. This is not good. No, this is very bad. What about Butyrol? Butyrol's holding it up, so maybe Butyrol can pull through for the rest of the market. Any sort of a closure today above 3,319,000 satoshis, I would be bullish on this for a big move up towards 3 million and 3.75 million. What am I trying to say? 3,750,000 about. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. What else do we have? Where seriously, where's Cardano? If that one's doing well, then yeah, this shit's reversing. But if it's not, then well, probably more the same. No, it's not doing well. In fact, looking pretty shitty actually. But what do you say about that? I'd wait for the weekly closure. Anywhere above last high at 920, have to be bullish on it for a move back up into the 1200s. But actually, that's a pretty phenomenal move. So you know what? This next day, I'm gonna hold off on my analysis on altcoins because a lot could very much change on this. I could get bullish on a lot of them actually, if those conditions are met. Link not so hot, and this one usually is one of the more stronger ones. Yeah, not looking so hot right there. So fair enough. If I had to call it, I don't think that it's reversing, but I'd rather just wait for the weekly closure. That should have clarity on the situation, and that'll set in the biases for the week to come, and no opinion is needed. Anyways, I see gold hit our 1850 target to the downside, so that means that it's wrecked, and that was definitely the bad side to be taking, but fair enough. Gold exchange for Bitcoin, perhaps. What about Link USD? Looking very, very good. Very fucking good here. Yeah, I'd still be looking for a retest of the prior high, it was 21 bucks. By the way, a lot of people are wondering, how did I get the $19 on this? It's because I'm looking at Link versus USD, not Link versus USDT. That's likely the difference on Binance for reference. This is a very good formation right here, though. This is very obvious continuation. This is reaccumulation, and boom, up to the off to the upside. And because we are looking at reaccumulation, let's see, we have a range of about $8 there. I'd be looking at a target of like 25 to 26 over, on this next melt up. Any sort of a closure today above $19 is going to imply continuation to about 25 or 26 bucks over time. This looks very good. What about Ethereum versus USD? Very good. Hit our 1350 target just about. Yeah. Whoa, actually, yeah, exceeded it. Again, I do think that Ethereum probably does spend a little bit of time consolidating below the prior all-time high. Anywhere between about 1100 and 1300 is good, but long term, I'd expect it to do essentially what Bitcoin did below its all-time high. See this area right here, the $19,000 region, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks of sideways, and then boom, upside. Something similar to that would be very much within the tune of the market dynamics right now. So yeah, Ethereum looking good, but let's see what the lower term time frames say. Daily's continuation right now. Daily looks very, very good actually. So I'm bullish on this one as we speak, for further continuation within the next 24 hours. Yeah, we could even make a small measure move on this one, 1250. Yeah, about another, we've already hit that target basically. It's continuation. It's continuation, motherfucker. Let's see, what else do we have? Do people even care about Litecoin anymore? Litecoin, $180, so it did hit our 185 target, or did it? Yeah, it did. Hey, to the T. Not bad. I really don't like saying that sort of terminology because I fucking hate it when people say, I called it. I called it. It's like, no, you didn't. You can't call things. You can't call things because it's a game of statistics. You just go on the right side. That's all. Next target is going to be 220. Any sort of a weekly closure above 175 today, I'd have targets in the next couple of weeks coming to 220. Looking very good on increasing volume coming off this melt up here too. Very good. Continuation extremely likely, we'll say. Ripple, what is Ripple doing? Ripple's boosting back up quite a fair bit here too. I want to see this one close the day anywhere above the 200 simple, which is 37 and a third. I kind of have to be bullish on this again, back up to like 46, 47. By the same token, any sort of a closure today below about 30 cents, and I'm phenomenally bearish on this one for coming back down to like 15 cents long term. So kind of a big pivot that we're at right now, but does imply quite a fair bit. So anywhere between those, I would have no real call. I'd be a little more angled towards the upside, but you never know with Ripple. It loves to lose. That Ripple rapples, huh? Anyways, I think that's pretty much it, just because we don't really have much else to speak about. So I'll keep this video on the shorter side somewhat, and let's start to wrap this bitch up once again. Okay, alrighty, Bitcoin, it's looking very good on the short-term time frames. I'll just spoil it right now. It's fucking bullish, okay? With contingencies, obviously. All right, let's wrap this bitch up. Bitcoin, once again, closing above the top side, showing down on the 2-day, which was our criteria for looking for further upside. Sorry, whoops, we got to start this over again because it's 3-day. Let's wrap this bitch up. Bitcoin on the 3-day closing above the top side shoulder band once again yesterday night at 7 p.m. Eastern time, which did set on our buys for further all-time highs into this next week of price action, of which I would be looking for the weekly to follow through as well. But the 3-day doing it is strong enough in and of its own self. So that would imply a range between low $39,000 region at the top side shoulder band where it's at right now, and to our next upside targeted regions based off our next Fibonacci projections, which are in the, well, you would say technically the T-spot 414, which is 43,000, which has technically not been fully tested just yet, but I would imply that just because, this is so fucking close already, you could say that that last move up there was a bit of a front run, and realistically your next target is going to be the 46,200 region right here, which is 2.618. That is a big one because that is going to be an algo target that very likely does produce at the very least a short and medium term pullback, similar to what we saw at the 414. But that is also a very traditional fake out area as well. Now, am I bearish on this price action at all? No, not really. Weekly is increasing on volume as Bitcoin does melt up. The 3-day obviously closing yesterday night is maintaining that volume, while open interest is also adding about 250 million in contract position to this. So this all looks very, very good. Obviously I'm gonna have to talk about the downside to be, to remain grounded, but overall, yes, I am bullish just based off of this. With all of that in mind, weekly is gonna be closing later tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Any sort of a closure above the top side Toronto band, which is currently 33,300, which is looking very, very likely right now. I would be looking for, another week of new all-time highs, essentially, with a range implied to wherever the top side Toronto band lands on next weekly open. Again, coming at 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight. So that'd probably be at the upper $39,000 region, which, if you recall, is very similar to what we saw in the 3-day over here, as that would imply that Bitcoin probably does come back down and test that region, but that also implies that it would very likely be an opportunity. Now, going into the short-term timeframes over here, Bitcoin looks like it wants to, boost up right now. We see that this is essentially reaccumulation in the context of a general uptrend, which would imply continuation as momentum oscillators like 4-hour Stokes do twist up once again, following the regression from all the way from December 9th, getting all the major lows within this formation, coming in from I believe it was here, no, all the way back here at about 18,000 bucks, here at about 23,000 bucks, here at about 26,000 bucks, more recently at about 30,000 bucks, and then potentially once again, assuming that that condition is met, at just above $40,000 as well. So that will drive targets up to short-term $43,000, a bit above there, and then with any sort of a 4-hour total closure above 43,000 bucks, would I be targeting 46? Very, very likely yes. Over the next few days, want to see the weekly follow through as well. Now, of course, we should come up with contingencies to the downside. It basically the same areas as yesterday. So we did get a pullback yesterday down to about 39. About 39, what's it called? 38,500. Jesus fucking Christ, man. I can't get out my numbers properly. Also aligned with the 2-spot Fibonacci extension from the prior consolidation. Now, that one's still relevant. As long as Bitcoin's above it, I'm just generally bullish on all time frames. If Bitcoin breaks this area right here on a 4-hour, or if a 2-hour closes below 38,300, then I would be looking for a short-term time frame twist to the downside for another couple $1,000 down to about 37,000 right here, or 36,500. If this area is broken right here, I actually do switch around to medium-term bearish and look for a full-on move with bounces along the way down to about 30,000 bucks. Now, do I think that that's what's happening? No, but it is more appropriate to overlay conditions for the other side, because again, trading is a game of statistics, so always have to have a plan for what happens if and when you are wrong, because it will happen over enough iterations. So with that said, I remain cautiously bullish on just about all time frames with those areas in mind. And with that said, I salute you, take care, and until next time.